Hey, everybody.
From Salt Lake City, Utah,
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
the podcast.
I'm Frank Feldman.
And I'm Chris Lemon.
And coming up on today's show, we're going to be talking about slut-shaming the Mormon way.
Yeah. Which is, I mean, that's the right way to slut shame.
Oh, it's the best way.
Any other
it's
way
the
of,
celestial
Any
way.
other way of slut shaming is not the right way.
No. It's the Lord's true slut-shaming. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We have a fun blog post from a Mormon mommy blogger that Chris found for us, and so we're going to be talking about that and responding to it. And then Dan, of course, is absent today, so thank you, Chris, for sitting in.
Of course,
he's out of town, and so he couldn't record this week.
Well, I hope he's having fun.
Yeah, sure. Why not? All right, Chris, what have you got?
So, I wanted to start with an article which was from the Salt Lake Tribune at the beginning of the month on July 1st, and it was written by Taylor Anderson. And it talks about medicinal marijuana in Utah, which is going to be on the ballot.
Yeah, we have a referendum
this November, which is...
Utah.
Yeah, I know, which is super exciting. And it's been crazy because in the past 2 years, there's been kind of this wave of support from Utahns for medicinal marijuana.
Yeah.
In fact, they said that last year, support got up to almost 80% of Utahns supporting the use of marijuana for people with medical conditions. And then earlier this year, it was at 76% approval.
Yeah.
And then the LDS Church came out, and the Utah Republican Committee came out in opposition of it. They both released statements opposing the use of medical marijuana.
Right.
And then it dropped. The approval rating for medicinal marijuana among Utahns dropped 10%.
Yeah.
So it went from 76% down to 66%.
Okay.
Which is apparently where it's at right now.
Yeah.
However, what's really cool is that 61% of Utahns said that the LDS Church's opposition to medicinal marijuana makes no difference to them in their support of it. So there's still a majority of Utahns that is saying it doesn't matter what this organization says, what this church says, we're still going to be in support of medicinal marijuana.
I know. So, I think it's amazing. It's an odd development for Utah. But it's kind of been this, if people weren't paying attention to this process over the last, however many years, there have been these Mormon families who've had kids with medical issues that they know from sort of people out of state and people who are reporting, about what, like CBD oil and the effects that has had on treating certain, conditions. They've wanted that option here in Utah, right? And so they've been working with the legislature, and I believe that one actually got passed. The legislature passed that one. And then there's just been this slow progress, and the real kind of sleeper part of this whole issue is the fact that it's the Mormon moms who are the ones who want it.
Exactly.
And that's just the mind-blowing part of the whole thing.
It almost even seems like there's been a kind of push within the Mormon community to return to homeopathy, right?
Yeah.
But
which is concerning on some level.
It's weird. We'll talk about that on a different show. But
because I'd rather they focus on scientific, medicine, medical treatments.
But we do know that marijuana has medicinal properties, for sure. For practically anything. In fact, personally, I believe that 90% of the population could get a prescription for medicinal marijuana because it does wonders for things like joint pain, insomnia, anxiety, and then not to even mention some chronic conditions like epilepsy or, chronic seizures.
Right.
I have a buddy that, he has epilepsy, and marijuana has cured his epilepsy.
Cured?
Well, I mean, I don't know if cured is the right word. I know that when he
treats it,
smokes marijuana, he doesn't have seizures.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. No, I actually know a woman who's epileptic who is seizure free thanks to smoking marijuana. So it is crazy.
So, and then, I mean, that's awesome that she's found a medicine to help her.
I mean, we should be careful with some of these, like, because I think it's important to remember where the science is and where the science isn't on these.
Okay.
You know, like, you know, and you can say what you want to about big pharma and whatnot, but there are rigorous testings, you know, there's a rigorous testing process that pharmaceuticals have to go through. There's, the double blind testing to really look at, is it actually effective at doing this thing? And medical marijuana hasn't gone through that rigor. So it's all anecdotal, but it does seem from this vast amount of personal experience using it, that it clearly has some medical uses. Right.
But also, I mean, it's still...
I would hesitate personally to call it medicine because I would rather reserve that for the stuff that's gone through scientific rigor, right?
We see, and I think I'm going to disagree there because I think it is medicine. Yeah, and I think that it can work as medicine for people. And if we're willing to call, I don't know. It just seems like that somehow. Pills like such as opioids and the benzodiazepines, which are highly addictive.
No, I know.
Those get to be called medicine, but I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're getting
we're in the weeds.
Sadly, I went down the semantics road, and now I'm an unwilling participant in the semantics road.
Did you get it? We're in the weeds.
Oh,
the weeds. Weed. Oh my God, you're the worst, Frank. What have you got?
No, but I don't want it to sound like I don't think this is a wonderful development. I personally have kind of just like written off marijuana in my own life, not because I have any kind of objections to it, but I don't have
never smoke marijuana. Never.
But I just don't have I don't have the experiences that I want from marijuana, which is I just want to have a good time. And I get too into my head and
I see.
Get quiet.
I can see how that would be
and it's
issue.
not very fun.
But what I don't understand, and I'm just going to go back real quick, is why this religion is opposed to it. Like I am having a hard time understanding why the LDS Church wants to be opposed.
Well, yeah, there's nothing in the Word of Wisdom, so fuck them.
Well, even if there was something in the Word of Wisdom, I mean, now we're approaching it from a more medicinal view, right? From a more medicinal lens. So, I mean, Mormons are able to get prescriptions for opioids.
Right, but we know this is a slippery slope, Chris.
But I don't know what that means. And I mean, it just seems to me like also like it seems like willful ignorance. Like we know that this drug actually can do things for people, but yet it's still illegal on a federal level. So we haven't even been able to study it in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I mean, and especially in Utah,
Yeah. Well, that's one thing that I think they really need to do ASAP is actually pass some legislation or more legislation to allow, clinical and university studies to go forward about what effects marijuana actually does have for treating these certain conditions. And then you can call it medicine all you want.
Okay.
Right.
I agree. But I feel like then we run into an obstacle from the legislature, which is, Republican.
Yeah, but there are other jurisdictions, there are other states that would be more than happy to pass these laws.
And it's already happening. Yeah. It's already happening, and we will get that information and the data.
Yeah. What I'm waiting for is for Big Pharma to come out with an addictive version of marijuana.
Why?
Well, because that just seems like that's what they would want, right? According to everybody's great big theories about Big Pharma. Right. Big Pharma, if you're listening,
they're not going to make
it. Move you don't make.
They're not going to make it until they can make it like super addictive.
Super addictive.
What have you got over
society there? Even more. Oh shit! I wasn't even thinking about what my next story is, or what my story is going to be. This one. Oh, Chris, you're going to love this.
I'm going to get upset, huh?
I think this one is going to piss you off. So, actually, there is a theme for all of my stories today. They're all stories I figured would outrage you.
Oh, I thought it was going to be a theme that I'd have to find out, like at the end.
No. Like no, hidden no. It's just Just brace yourself, Chris.
Okay.
It's coming. So Channel 2 here in Salt Lake City, KUTV is reporting about a Mormon mother of 4 who has lost her temple recommend because she breastfed at church in the foyer.
What?
And she breastfed uncovered in the foyer.
Oh, my God. You are right, because I am pissed. That is so...
Just, Chris.
Wait, hold on. Keep going. Keep going. I need more information.
So she apparently... So LDS chapels have a space where women are supposed to go breastfeed. There's like a mother's lounge.
Oh, it's in the bathroom, right?
But it's in the women's restroom.
That's right.
Right. And there's a little speaker that you can turn on and off that will relay whatever the speaker in church is saying. Right.
So this woman didn't breastfeed in the right place.
Shouldn't breastfeed in the right place. And
hidden away in the bathroom
where nobody can see her,
where somebody's taking a shit next to her.
Shame,
right?
And back over there.
And there's some woman, with a wide stance and a shin length dress that she's hiked up and is grunting in the next stall. I mean, God forbid a woman feed her child wherever the fuck she wants to.
I know. All right. So
God,
apparently
hiding her in the bathroom. Jesus.
The speaker in the women's restroom has not been working at her chapel.
Oh, so she was even wanting to hear what was being said.
So she had positioned herself in the foyer because she could hear the people giving their talks. I don't know why you would want to hear the people giving their talks,
because they help the baby attach to the nipple.
So anyway,
I don't know.
But anyway, so that's just kind of set the scene a little, right? She's there because she really doesn't have anywhere else to even be. Aside from the fact that she is engaging in a perfectly natural and normal activity with her young child, right? With her 1-year-old, I think, 1.5-year old kid, right?
A child that is
who is still breastfeeding
right?
age. And so she goes to her temple recommend meeting with the bishop. And this is something that Mormons who want to go to the temple, right, have to go through a worthiness interview, I think once a year, right, with their bishop. And the bishop asks them all these questions about, are you honest in all your dealings with your fellow men? Do you pay a full tithe? Do you believe Jesus Christ is the Redeemer? Do you support the prophet and believe that he's true and blah, 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 and blah. There's a list of questions that they have to ask. And anyway, so that's how people get into the temple. And the temple's really important. That's where marriages happen. And it's where sort of, if you're a full-fledged, sort of fully participating member of the church, you have a temple recommend.
Yeah, if you believe in Mormonism.
It's a status thing as well. Like to not have a temple recommend knocks you down a peg. There's certain callings you can't have. Like, it's a big deal. And so she goes in for her temple recommend meeting with the bishop.
Timeline. So from when she was breastfeeding to when the meeting was, do you know? And that nobody had talked to her before this.
Well, the child is still breastfeeding age, it sounds like. So this has been going on for a matter of weeks, maybe a few months. Who knows?
Go on.
Right?
She goes in.
But she goes in, and he told her that members of the ward, right, her church, had complained about her openly breastfeeding in the foyer. She was asked to either cover up or use the mother's room, but she said that for her, those weren't good options. And he refused to sign her temple recommend. The first counselor in the bishopric, so his assistant, I didn't even know they could sign the recommends, but he did, right? And so now she goes to the stake. And so she has to go to the stake.
The bishop refused to sign.
The bishop didn't want to sign off on it, but the first counselor was willing to, right? So he did. So now she goes to the stake president for the second interview, right? Because it's not good enough that your bishop says you're worthy. You have to go to the next level up, right? You basically, you have to go to the diocese, essentially, right?
Because she's got a scarlet letter because she breastfeeds her kid.
Like got a big old B.
Yeah, like
breastfeeder.
Like she's got to go through like these hoops.
Well, the 2 interviews is normal,
Right.
But they're bringing up this issue at the meeting, right? And so she goes to her stake president, and he says that he is not going to sign off on her recommend. He apparently he quoted from the Strength of Youth pamphlet about modesty, and he told her that women should cover up so that men do not have sexual thoughts. First of all, this is not a sexual act, right?
Jeez.
At all. She said that she had to leave the room several times to calm down. And at one point while she wasn't there, the stake president told her husband that he had better control his wife.
What?
Mm-hmm. And that if he supported her, he wouldn't get his recommend signed either.
What does that mean? Like if he agreed that she should be able to get a temple recommend, he would... This is aggravating.
Right.
Like just his opinion would keep him from getting
Yeah, he needed to have her in line or else he doesn't get one either.
What kind of patriarchal, like subjugating of women motherfucking bullshit is this?
This is normal. This is normal Mormon shit. The only difference is it's being reported this time.
I'm so angry.
Right?
I mean, how many people has this happened to over the years? In
countless. I promise you. I guarantee you, whether it's this specific issue or they've been steamrolled in some other way.
What is she supposed to do? Because here's the thing, like, it just feels like it's just so aggravating. And she's trying to feed her child.
Feed her child.
Her child who's hungry.
Yeah.
She's she's breastfeeding, which is being frugal, which is saving money.
Oh, beyond that, the World Health Organization... the thing didn't pass because the United States actually blocked it, but they recently were trying to get passed at the UN a declaration that said that breastfeeding, based on the actual scientific evidence, breastfeeding is the preferred way for women to feed their children.
Yes.
It has all the nutrients that the baby needs, so forth and so on, and that formula should only ever be a backup. Mm-hmm. Well, the United States, because of big formula.
Big formula.
Right.
Well, and our Puritanism. It's a lot of Puritanism. Like, because we're puritanical here.
Yeah.
We don't realize that, like, that we get scared of a woman popping her boob out to feed a child. We get scared of that.
Yeah.
And,
Anyway, the United States blocked that whole thing. So it's not just, this, it's this and it's frugal. No, it's the right thing to do.
Right.
If you can do it.
But,
right.
I mean, I'm just saying that, and furthermore, she was trying to be a dutiful, devout Mormon and listen to the speaker. And like, it just seems like what in the fuck was she supposed to do? Like,
right.
Go home, go out in the car in 90 degrees, like,
right.
What was she supposed to do? Where was she supposed to go? Like,
she doesn't need to go anywhere. She's perfectly fine right there. Perfectly fine. They should just be happy that she didn't pop it out right in the pew.
I think that's fine.
Which
too.
She should be able to do. But she was secluding herself. She's just out in the foyer. Nobody's out in the foyer. Maybe a couple people walking through to go use the bathroom.
And honestly,
so she already she was should not have felt like she needed to have accommodate, but she already was.
Right, exactly. That's what I'm saying. I feel like
it wasn't good enough.
She was exactly,
and it would never be good enough
because she's a woman. She's a woman using her own body, and that's what it is.
Yeah,
that's honest to God what it is. It's women controlling their own body.
Yeah,
and even the remarks from the stake president about the husband should be controlling her, and that she needs to be covering her body because what it could do to men. That's just fucked up. It's just bullshit.
And what's in your head, you pervert? That's what I would say to the stake president. I'm like, really? Tell me, does a woman breastfeeding make you have impure thoughts?
And here's what...
Impure thoughts.
Right. That's so gross. And here's what... Isn't a child screaming while somebody's trying to give a talk because they're hungry? Isn't that more obscene than a boob?
Of course it is.
I mean, First of all, I find children offensive, but that's a whole other story. I apologize to all the listeners with children.
Her husband stood behind her, supported her, and they now neither of them can enter the temple. The stake president followed up on his threat and did not sign his either.
But he didn't do anything wrong. Like,
he supported his wife
against the council of
he was
leaders.
told by the church leader what he needed to do, and he didn't do it. So he didn't get to go to the temple. So this, of course, hit the Twitter sphere big time.
Good.
And somebody posted on there, Mellory Wheat is her name. She pointed out there is a statue of a pioneer mother openly breastfeeding on Temple Square. There are paintings.
Are you serious?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a picture. Yeah, she posted a picture of it. Right? There are paintings in the temples with mothers openly breastfeeding. Why then shouldn't we be allowed to openly breastfeed in a church lobby?
Get it, girl.
Yeah,
go get it.
They've got some problems over there at the church office building. They're having some problems with their membership right now. It's near open revolt.
You want to know what's wrong with
it's bubbling?
You want to know what's wrong with Mormonism?
What?
So many things are wrong with Mormonism.
Like everything. The fact that it exists.
Some interesting things happened in Japan this past month. So Japan has executed 11 prisoners.
No.
Yes.
Execution?
Yeah, by hanging.
I didn't know that they were a death penalty country.
Well, I wasn't aware of it either. But seven people were executed this last week, and 6 people were executed earlier. They're members of the Aum Shinrikyo cult, which I don't know if you remember, but in 1995, they conducted the sarin attack in the...
sarin gas?
Oh, of course I say it wrong. Sarin gas attack in the Tokyo subway.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I do remember that,
killed
actually.
Like 8 or 9 people.
Yeah, horrifying.
And in 1994, they had also done another gas attack.
Oh, my God.
So, yeah, Japan just executed members of this cult. And the cult is a neo-Buddhist cult, surprisingly enough.
Oh.
So they were a violent Buddhist cult.
They need to go back to saying Om and
right?
sitting under the whatever tree.
So, yeah, but even the leader, and his name was Shoko Asahara, 11 people.
No way.
Put to death by hanging.
Took care of that.
So,
well, militant Buddhism, you don't expect it.
But what about like Myanmar?
Well, yeah, there's that too. But just that
of thousands,
only those two. Otherwise, Buddhism is awful. And Richard Gere. Richard Gere.
I said Sarin, and you said Greer.
Richard Gere.
It's Pam Grier, and she's a badass.
Oh, okay. Anyway, Richard Gere. He's going to be really upset. He's a crazy Buddhist.
Yeah.
All right.
He likes gerbils.
And that too. All right.
Yeah.
Was there anything else?
Well, I thought I was going to say something, but I don't think I was going to say
think
anything.
you should.
No, I don't have anything else to say.
Oh, okay.
Just, that it's weird to think that even religions that we think are like just these peaceful...
Well, see, they've done a good job branding themselves, haven't they? Because they're not. Well, they're just like any other religious group.
There can be crazy offshoots, right?
Yeah, and radicals and people who
extremism
have got a axe to grind of some sort. Well, all right. I don't know how I feel about Japan actually executing them. They deserved serious punishment.
Yeah,
I'm weird about the death penalty.
I actually agree with you. I don't
like the death penalty.
I don't like it either.
Yeah, I don't think it's right.
Well, I just don't feel like it like it's when your mom, when you're hitting your little sister as a kid, and then your mom slaps you across the face, like, don't hit, right?
Right.
I just don't feel like it helps. I don't feel like it can educate a society or further the development of a society.
Yeah. it keeps the violence going.
Yes. Well, it's a chain.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay, Chris, I've got the story of that I was actually a little conflicted about bringing up this story, but it's the story of a man here in Utah, up in Ogden by the sound of it, who killed his infant son this last week.
My God.
And then fled from police. He said that he saw a 666 on the kid. And so he killed him. He erected an altar, and then stabbed the child to death. Now, granted, I would suspect that the man has some mental illness issues.
Yes, but it's mental illness that has been cultivated in an environment and culture of religion,
right? And he found he saw this thing
the
emerge.
Archetypes, the paradigms of religion. So he has somehow that has been incorporated into his mental illness. So I mean, religion's still to play.
The details, if we want to go through the details, Alex Hidalgo is his name. He was left alone with the child so that the child's mother could run some errands. When she returned, she told the police that she found Hidalgo in the front room reading a Bible and watching a video of religious music and sermons.
Oh.
And she was unable to find the kid and asked him where he was. And he replies that he had built an altar like they had talked about, and began talking about how their son had 666 on him. This part's just wretched. She found the son in a garbage bag in the closet. And she tried to resuscitate the child. A neighbor helped while they waited for, the ambulance to show up. And the postmortem is what, showed the cause of death, which was, multiple stab wounds in the neck. Anyway, so he ran, and, the police later found him wearing an outfit with stained in blood and blah, 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 blah. And so, but yeah, I think your tie-in, to grabbing on to religious themes, right? That
iconography,
and the fact that and I think what's interesting is he attacked this whole altar thing, right? It's not like this is not he's not pulling themes from very violent stories,
no,
that are very commonly told. Biblical stories
like
right?
Abraham and Isaac,
exactly.
for example. I mean, so we can be as horrified as we fucking want by this story that happened last week.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, that's a tale as old as time.
Oh yeah.
Like as long as as long as religion has been around.
Like if religion told
Abraham
lovely
and
stories,
Isaac, right?
And mentally ill people, glommed onto the lovely stories. Maybe.
Yeah, I'm not saying. Yeah.
No big deal.
Yeah, but I'm not saying that he's not. I mean, he's absolutely responsible for his actions. Whatever.
Of course.
But it is just kind of uncanny, the similarities to Abraham and Isaac, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Except, he went through with it.
Yeah.
So I wonder if when he gets out of prison, he's going to start Alex Hidalgo's babysitting service. Because I don't think you should.
I don't think anybody's going to disagree with you, Chris. Yeah. I wonder what the neighbors will say when he joins the neighborhood. Well, he's probably not getting out of prison anytime soon, so.
The last thing I have, if you want to hear it, I mean, it's
uplifting?
No, I mean, it's not it's not a downer. It's just, I just find it kind of interesting. So the HRC, the Human Rights Campaign, which is a organization that works for equality for lesbians, gays, bisexual, transgender, queers, and questioning. they have a series called the Coming Home To series.
Oh.
So it's for...
what kind of series? Like
So it's a pamphlet series.
Oh, okay.
Right? It's a
Gotcha.
series of pamphlets and I think online resources.
Okay, cool.
But they're for religious people who happen to be, lesbian or gay or, in the queer community.
Okay.
And there are 7 of them. Like, example, there's Coming Home to Catholicism, Coming Home to Judaism, they're officially called Coming Home to blank the religion and then and self, right? So it's just an idea for
Okay.
yes, for gay people to navigate and negotiate between their sexuality and their religion. Like there's one for Mormonism as well that came out, I think, recently. Okay. But the one that just came out this month was called Coming Home to Evangelicism and to Self. So it's a guide for LGBTQ evangelical Christians.
Right.
And I guess the HRC, met with a lot of scholars and pastors
I'm sure
that are evangelical Christians, and they tried to put this together. But it kills me because, I just want to say, no pamphlet is going to help.
No.
People.
The problem is the church.
Right. There's going to be no pamphlet that is going to help these people negotiate between one thing and the other.
Right.
Because they're two fucking different things that can't coincide.
I'm all for trying to help people out who, for whatever reason they can't let go of their faith, and they're gay and their faith says that they're not welcome. Right. Okay, great. But that's the wrong kind of help.
Right.
The right kind of help is
faith transition therapy. Yeah, honestly.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Because that is not good for you. That setting
it's abusive.
It's abusive.
And I think
Frank, it hurts people.
Yes.
And there is a problem that this is the far side of God, I hate these kind of discussions of liberals being a little too over accepting.
That at some point we need to say, no, it's not okay.
Yeah.
The shit you're doing to people is not okay.
And obviously we have our atheist perspective on this whole thing.
Like a reconciliation packet isn't helping. In fact, if anything, it
might actually
damaging.
hurt that person.
In fact, because it's prolonging, it's because it's taking off a Band-Aid to some extent.
Yeah.
Leaving and get out. Speaking as somebody who left religion, it is abusive and it's harmful, and the shit that's going on in your brain. And to respond to what you were saying earlier, it's hard to leave a religion, even if you don't believe in it. Sometimes your community is connected to it. Your identity, your idea of self.
Oh, you have to rewrite everything, right? And it's funny how fundamental, or maybe it's not funny, but how fundamental that rewriting goes. It goes down to the very core of your sense of right and wrong, your sense of place in the world.
Not even
just your own idea about just who you are and how you face, those deeper existential questions, but also just really simple moral and ethical decision making on a daily basis. Right now, hopefully you have something to fall back on. I felt like Mormonism's basic teachings weren't too bad, right? But it's in its application in a larger setting, and so I was able to negotiate it and figure it out. And as you figured it out and everything, but some people have a really hard time for whatever, they're just holding on to it. There was this guy on Reddit, that posted something not too long ago about being Mormon in some small town and still going to church, and he was gay. Right. And it was like, why? Get the fuck
because
out.
The message,
and he was saying that he that he didn't even really believe it too much anymore, but it was just
but he also knows,
and I'm just people just get out. It's so much better once.
But
you're
he
out.
knows and this I think is a hang up for people. He knows what people are going to say, and he knows what people are going to think, and how they're going to judge him. And he knows if he leaves and stops coming to church, they will see him through a lens of unworthiness, and they will.
Yeah.
And they do.
And that worthiness thing is pounded into you in Mormonism.
And although they may not hate him, they will hate him if he leaves.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, Chris. All right. Well,
I don't have any...
Fuck the HRC and their little religious bullshit thing. Okay, Chris, I have a story that I want to get to from the Midwest.
What state? What state, Frank?
I'm not going to say it, Chris.
Because you say it wrong. It's Missouri, ain't it? Ain't it
from the good
Missouri?
state of Missouri. This story comes to us from St. Louis County. So it's the story of an aging couple, an aging lesbian couple. They're married. Mary Walsh and Bev Nance, 72 and 68. And they are looking to move into some kind of, aging care facility, right? A senior living community is what they're trying to get into. And they've found one that they really like. It's called Friendship Village. And it is, apparently it's a really lovely place, and it was recommended to them by friends. They are, it's one of the things that they really liked about it is the fact that it's one of the few senior living facilities that as the level of care increases that they need to give you, the monthly payment does not go up, which I guess must be fairly rare. So they went, they were checking it out, seemed great, and but they've run into a little bit of a snag because their application has been denied based on the fact that their relationship violates the cohabitation policy of the community that defines
they
marriage.
Have a cohabitation policy
that defines marriage as the union of one man and one woman, as marriage is understood in the Bible. So this is there's a religious group that owns and operates this facility, and they are apparently
discriminatory.
Well, they are definitely discriminatory, but they are probably within their rights. Speaking just sort of from the perspective of federal law and housing law, that they can discriminate based on the sexuality of the people who are applying to live in their facility, and it's privately owned, which is an important detail. And because then they're not falling under any other groups' sort of, rules and regulations and blah, 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 blah. So this poor couple, of course, there are other options for them, but they should not be facing this level of this kind of discrimination. This is part of this larger discussion that is happening right now in the United States that's been sort of putting anti-discrimination laws and religious liberty laws at odds with each other, right? That there's this struggle, to this is the wedding baker story. This is the pizza parlor.
Because God wants you to mistreat people.
God,
because discrimination is nothing but mistreatment. I mean, you can call it what you want, and you can say that you're doing it for whatever reason you're doing it for. But the fact of the matter is, you discriminate against somebody, it's mistreatment. And furthermore, with this, the place is called Friendship Village. God, they're friendly. Yeah. But you are right, and I don't know about Missouri. I don't know about their state laws, but federally, there are not laws that protect gays, lesbians, bisexuals, transgender as far as housing and employment go.
Yeah.
There are not. They don't exist.
Yeah.
However, in Utah, they do.
Right.
Like Utah, for example, you can't discriminate. You can't legally discriminate against somebody for being in the queer community in housing
and employment. Yeah.
But, you know, and it just brings up some other things, like what are aging gay people supposed to do now? And I know that there are, like in Santa Fe, there are some retirement homes in Palm Springs that, you know, kind of service the LGBT community almost exclusively. But it is a unique community.
But we also shouldn't have to seek out those places.
Exactly.
Now, you know, part of me, I'm always just like, when I saw the headline, right? The headline just says, lesbian couple denied housing in Sunset Hills senior living community. Lawsuit claims. Sunset Hills is the town that it's in. Also, don't ever put a retirement community anywhere where it has to be associated with sunset anything.
Oh, yeah. That's cruel. It's not cold in here. It's not cold in here. You're just dying.
Oh God. But
I have to give credit to Sarah Silverman for that one. That wasn't mine.
But anyway, I forgot what I was even trying to say. But like they, just my reaction to the headline was, good Lord, like why would you want to be surrounded by those people anyway?
Yeah.
Right. Like given all the information about that community and who seeks out that community, you probably don't want to live there. Right. But the flip side of that is how fucking infuriating it is that people would opt to exclude these people.
You don't get to turn people away.
Right.
Like that's
like, just fill the place with a bunch of bigots and we won't want to live there.
Because here's another thing.
You don't have to worry.
For me, and I may have talked about this before, but like what it comes down to for me about these discrimination issues, especially against, you know, gay people, really against anybody. If you're using your religion to discriminate against somebody, especially in a place of business, in the public sphere, which this may be privately owned, but it is a business operating in the public sphere.
Absolutely.
So here's my issue. Those women spent years and years paying taxes. They paid income tax, they paid sales tax, they paid state tax, et cetera, et cetera. So they paid into systems that helped to pave the roads leading to Friendship Village.
Oh, absolutely.
They helped to educate the staff of Friendship Village through our public education system. They contribute to police and fire that protect Friendship Village. So there is absolutely no... It just gets me, because how can you discriminate against people when they're part of the society anyway? Do you know what I mean?
Well, but isn't that the glory of private property? Right. And what they're trying to achieve right now. But
you're in the public sphere.
Right. But that's what they're trying specifically right now. The right is trying to create these exemptions for them so that they can discriminate.
Well, then,
right.
Then that's
I mean,
then you have to change. Then you can't be working with the public.
If you open up your doors generally to the public, then you should, you know, have to take everyone. Period. You know,
and you know, it's so crazy to me. And here's another argument, like about the cake baking. It's so funny to me because it's also about what you can see on the surface, right? Like, how many times has that baker, you know, made a cake for a fucking sinner, you know, or for, like, all he knows, a murderer or a rapist or somebody way more terrible than a gay person?
Oh, absolutely.
You know, so the discrimination against gay people is what you can see on the surface. And I think that that's part of the reason that it's so disgusting. I mean, all discrimination is disgusting to me, but it's an assumption about, like, somebody and their life and how they live their life because of their sexuality.
Right. You have made a wedding cake for a couple before that has a straight couple before that has sexual practices that you would find deviant, freaky, gross, weird, gross, etc.
Sinful.
Right.
Yeah.
And some vanilla gay couple comes through and it's just the end of the fucking world.
You see, it's funny. It is funny. And to think of it that way, like, because it literally means that he he or she, whoever's baking the cake, gets to stand in judgment, right? Of people's sins. And some sins, we can overlook and some we can't. And,
right.
But the fact of the matter is, Christians, don't they believe that everybody's a sinner?
But how far are we going to complicate this whole matter, right? So your discrimination against a group, right? In this case, specifically gay people. So let's just stay there, right? Your discrimination against gay people is based on something that your church teaches. Well, now we have to go back and see what your church actually teaches, right? Because it's not enough just to say that it's a firmly held belief. Because where the fuck did you get that belief from? Like, what kind of situation are we creating where now we have to, like, get into people's minds and research their actual belief system in order to figure out whether they committed a crime or not?
Yes. There is a Danish journalist that wrote something along those lines. And he said, if you as a believer...
Right.
ask me as a non-believer to observe your taboos in public, you're not asking for my cooperation, but you're asking for my submission.
Yeah. Yes.
And that's what it is. They are asking me for, they are trying to make non-believers, atheists, agnostics, submissive to that.
Yeah. That we are subject.
Slave to it.
To their religious beliefs. That's not right. That's not the world that we live in. I'm sorry. We haven't lived in that world for a very long time. So fuck you.
Yeah. I agree.
Fuck
I
you.
agree. And you know what?
Friendship Village.
Yes. And especially, I just saw the picture.
look at them.
I just saw the
How cute are
picture
they, right?
of these two lesbians.
They are the most adorable
couple.
couple.
Oh my God, they can come live at my house. They're adorable. Mary Walsh and Bev Nance.
I know.
Oh my God, they got married in 2009.
They've been together for 4 decades.
40 years.
Yeah.
Do you know how many sexual partners Donald Trump has had in the past 40 years? Oh my God, look at these two adorable lesbians. I know. Little senior citizens. I just want to pinch their cheeks.
They're the cutest. Well, anyway. My heart goes out to them. Anyway, if you have anything that you would like to add to this discussion, or say anything at all to us about anything you've heard on the show today, please feel free to send us an email. The email address is podcast@thankgodimatheist.com. Or you could call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442. Find us on Facebook, facebook.com/TGIAtheist, where you'll also find the TGIA Members Only Lounge. You have to search for that and request to join, but we will let you in. And then there's also now the TGI Atheist subreddit, where you can go and enjoy conversation there, post questions, comments, articles that you found that make you pissed off and angry, or you can also find links to show notes, etc. So why not go check that out? So, Chris, I have a little clip of audio that I'd like you to listen to. Okay. This is from Rick Wiles.
Wiles.
Wiles?
W-Y-L-E-S.
W-I-L-E-S.
Oh.
Rick Wiles.
Is he a televangelist?
He's a right-wing conservative talk show host on the internet.
I think last time I was on, you even played something from him.
Probably. He's been kind of
you
a go-to.
Enjoy him?
No.
Well, I mean,
I don't enjoy
Well, of course you don't enjoy him. I guess what I'm saying is that he's fodder.
Oh, he's fodder. So Rick Wiles is sort of a self-fashioned modern-day prophet.
Okay.
He prognosticates a lot.
I like that
and
word.
I love that he does, because he's sort of a short timetable prophet as well, as we'll see in this clip. He'll say, I bet in the next 3 days we're going to see this. By the end of the week, there will be, bedlam in this country. People will be shooting each other. People will be raping each other, blah, 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 blah. And then, of course, it never happens, right? like millions of people all dead in the streets. Never happens, right?
But people still listen.
But people still listen to him because, he's kind of way with
He's
words.
a showman.
He's kind of fun to listen to. So anyway, this is what he says. He's making a 72-hour prediction.
Okay.
This was a week ago. So see if
it should have manifested 4 days
happened.
ago.
So see if it. Let's just find out if it did.
We showed you CIA agent, homosexual, Anderson Cooper on CNN. Well, over on the other communist news channel, MSNBC, they have another homosexual, Rachel Maddow. You see, America, you've been homosexualized. You've been Judaized. I'm going to just tell you the way it is, okay? Your minds have been captured. You're no longer a Christian nation. Even the Christians don't think like Christians anymore.
That's right.
You've been Judaized. You've been homosexualized. You've been Babylonianized. Your minds have been tainted. You don't even think like a Christian anymore. And so Rachel Maddow, she was spewing out last night calls for revolution.
That's exactly right.
Calls to remove the President of the United States. She was telling the left, take a deep breath. We're at that moment. It's coming. We're at that moment. We're almost there. We're going to remove him from the White House. Friends, I think we're about 72 hours, possibly 72 hours from a coup. Look, be prepared that you're going to turn on television and see helicopters hovering over the roof of the White House with men clad in black rappelling down ropes, entering into the White House. Be prepared for a shootout in the White House as Secret Service agents shoot commandos coming in to arrest President Trump. That's how close we are to revolution. Be prepared for a mob, a leftist mob, to tear down the gates, the fence of the White House, and go into the White House and drag him out with his family and decapitate them on the lawn of the White House.
I don't even know where to begin, Frank. This nation's been homosexualized. It's been
Judaized.
Like,
so like Jewish. The Jews have taken over.
Oh my God.
The homos, the Jews,
like my
and
favorite,
the Babylonians.
The homos and the Jews, my favorite people.
I know, but where is he getting this? The Babylonians are taking over.
Yeah.
It's been Babylonianized.
And it's called Iraq now. And they don't call it Babylon anymore. I don't even know where to start. Like,
isn't it? Well, it's just, first of all, like you can't even dignify the whole commandos.
It's nonsensical.
And whatnot. Like,
there's no basis.
You can't even get. You can't even waste your time on that one, right? Because it's just so ridiculous.
Well, and you know what's crazy about it? It's them using. It's the right using their kind of. That's how they would do it. Like,
right.
I mean, it just seems like.
I didn't see the Rachel Maddow clip.
I didn't either. I can't comment.
So I cannot comment on that. But there was a clue in this as to the fact that the time is coming and we're going to have him out of office. Well, if I know the Rachel Maddow show at all, she's talking about through legal means that we're going to impeach the criminal who is in office illegitimately and remove him from office through constitutional means.
And here's what I want to know. Who is it that is attacking the White House? Is it the gays and the Jews? Because I don't think it
I'd
is.
love to see it if it was, though. That would be the best
It's a
attack.
pink helicopter, right?
Hey, boys!
We've come for the president. He's getting a makeover. We'll bring him right back.
Yeah.
I mean,
we promise.
That's so stupid. Like, I mean, I just... Oh, please.
Yeah. So anyway, that happened. That happened online.
Completely offensive.
Yeah. Oh, he's a horrifying man, and the whole profiting thing. he does it so poorly. I don't understand how people could still possibly be watching him. His predictions, like, you want to go more sort of the Nostradamus route.
Yeah,
right.
The vague, that you're pretty sure that it could happen
hundreds of years from now. Right.
At some point there will be an earthquake. Well, because we know at some point there will be an earthquake.
Yeah.
There will be fires because there will be fires. Like
right.
Like he's a little. You're right. He's a little too specific. Like helicopter. It didn't happen.
But there's a handful of them that do this. He's one of them. Christy Jacobs, I think is her name. She's a fucking lunatic. She does the same thing.
Glenn Beck's back too.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
What's his brand now?
I don't know.
Because he's
so
a slippery
weird. You
motherfucker,
can't keep
right?
up with
like
him. And now it's like he's trying to like play both sides. Like this is just weird. Somebody had sent me a link on Facebook, and I can't watch Glenn Beck. I lost about 35 seconds, and then I just have to stop.
Does he still hate Trump? That's what I want to know.
I think he hates Trump, but he's telling people to support the president.
Oh, weird. All right. Anyway,
yeah,
that's beside the point.
And I'm speaking out of school, so.
Okay. All right. Well, all right. So there's that. Couple of voicemails, Chris, I'd like to play for you. Get your response as well as mine. Here's a voicemail from a listener who has a plan with the Mormon missionaries, or for the Mormon missionaries who she's been talking to. So let's just take a listen.
You guys, I have been inspired by Frank's Tales of Missionaries. I am now the proud owner of the Book of Mormon. 3 lovely young ladies came to my door today to talk to me about the Book of Mormon. Invited them in, gave them water, we chatted a bit. They're coming back Thursday because I think it is my duty as an atheist to spread the good word to them in exchange for them bringing this free book to me. So yeah, they're coming back on Thursday, and I'm super excited because now I have this captive audience, and hopefully I can sow the seed of doubt in their minds, and one day they can look back and be like, yeah, the Book of Mormon really doesn't make any fucking sense. I should just forget this whole thing. Wish me luck. Bye.
Oh my God.
She's fun. I like her.
Yeah, so thank you very much for that. I don't think she said her name. But here I've got a little thing that I want you to look up, because if you're not from sort of a Mormon background and gone through sort of the ex-Mormon process, you need to look up something called the CES letter.
Oh, Jeremy Reynolds.
Yeah, look it up. CES letter. And the first little bit of it is going to help you out a lot.
It's very long.
It is.
Just read the first, 4 pages or so?
4 or 5 pages that talk about specifically the problems with the Book of Mormon.
Or even better, get on YouTube, just Google Jeremy Reynolds CES letter, and you can see a couple interviews with him, and he'll tell you his story, which is even easier.
Sure. Okay. But there are very, very specific details about that you could very innocently sort of insert into this conversation with the missionaries.
It would blow their minds.
About things like, well, because the Bible, Isaiah, is quoted in the Book of Mormon, right?
Full sections, completely plagiarized.
Plagiarized from a King James Version Bible of the Bible, that there were very specific errors in this one edition, and it was a very common household Bible that probably was in the Smith household.
In the 1820s,
right.
1830s.
Right. And so this is the Bible that Joseph Smith would have had access to. And he transcribed verbatim, including all of these printing errors, right, that were in this one version of the Bible. And you could, like, I'm doing it injustice, but go to the CES letter, and because why would an ancient script from the ancient Americas have
typos from a printing press
in the 1800s? So there's a lot of stuff like that you could just, like, if you want to plant seeds of doubt, go there. The CES letter is genius for planting seeds of doubt.
I think it's so cool that our badass friend is, like, looking, because she's on a mission too. I mean, and so why is it that one mission is, vilified and one is, glorified. So I say go get them.
I glorify this listener.
Yeah, I do too.
Because I've always vilified those damn missionaries.
Not always.
Well, not when I was one of them.
But I'm saying that she is a badass. And like, if you're coming into my house trying to convert me, well, fair game.
Fair
right?
game. Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
So buckle up. So definitely, I do. Definitely. I recommend her checking out CES letter.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. And here's another voicemail from a listener with a question. We love it when we love stories. We love questions with our correspondence. So let's see what the question is.
Hey, Dan. So I'm a huge fan of your podcast, and I have a very specific question about something that just happened to me literally 5 minutes ago. What do you do when your best friend won't be friends with you anymore because you're an atheist and they're a Christian, or some other religious affiliation? Thanks. I hope you answer.
Hey,
well, that's a tough one.
It's a
tough
really
situation to be
It's
in.
a really good question.
Yeah.
And I just want to say, first of all, to that listener, I mean, it sounds crazy, but you're not alone. And I mean, it's hard.
Yeah.
And I think that it's hurtful anytime that you embrace your true, authentic self, and that you have a coming out. And sometimes being an atheist is a coming out story. You have to say, well, this is my truth and this is what I'm going to live. And a lot of people have a hard time with that because they have hangups and expectations about how you need to live your life. And ultimately, you won't find happiness living for anybody else.
Right.
So I commend your bravery, and I'm really sorry that happened to you.
Yeah. As far as what you can do, your friend's reaction is, I don't know if it's going to be the stance that this friend continues to take, or if they'll get used to it maybe down the road. But if they are not able to adjust to the reality of who you are, it sucks, but sometimes we have to find new friends, and that is a little bit of the risk of living authentically as well. And it's, my mind I've been thinking a lot about, the gay rights movement lately, in particular, with regards to the ex-Mormon community, with regards to atheism in general. And I think we've always taken a very light touch on Thank God I'm Atheist as far as coming out, and I think our stance has always been, be safe, right? And only do it when you're ready, right? And the whole be safe thing is, I think we're specifically talking about, you under 18-year-olds who might be listening, and that your parents are going to have a negative reaction to it. It's sometimes best just to be able to know that you're going to be able to strike out on your own if they don't respond. Great, because you are
because we don't want you to get kicked out of the house,
and nor do we want you to be in an emotionally abusive situation.
Exactly, as well.
And so be careful with that. And the other part of it is being ready. Sometimes if you're married and your spouse isn't right along with you, maybe you're not ready to take the big leap out of whatever church pew you're sitting in. But I cannot overstate enough the power and importance of coming out. It is
in every aspect of life.
In every aspect of life, it is so critical to your own sanity, to in some cases your own personal safety, because living kind of double lives, living a lie in essence, can really take its toll. And so I know for me, it was a matter of survival coming out. I knew I wasn't going to be able to do it. I had to be out, as a gay man, and I had to be out as an atheist, right? And the atheist one for me was so easy, especially in comparison to the coming out as gay. But I was doing this back in the 90s. It was a kind of a different.
I still have a hard time sometimes calling myself an atheist.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
It's a label. It's not that I shun the label. Like I think I am an atheist, right?
Right.
It's just, it's weird. I still think I have some religious hang-ups that keep me from being able to just like willy-nilly say it.
I
want to qualify it.
Yeah.
Is that weird?
Yeah.
Well, and
I just.
Well, there's some other things we can get into
out.
about me a little later.
well.
But I want to go back to the listener, and I want to say a couple things. Your phone call, how awesome you called in. But now that you've started talking about who you are and your beliefs and your worldview, your way of seeing the world, I really truly believe you're going to start finding other people that have the same viewpoint, that view the world through the same, atheist lens.
Yeah.
And I hate to say it, but they might be more true friends to you. Yeah. They might be more authentic friends, because I'm sorry that if a religious person can just automatically cut somebody out of their life because they believe differently, that's conditional. That's a conditional friendship, and that's not love. That's not what is being professed in a Christian religion, or what Christianity should be about, or claims to be about.
Right.
So I actually hope that you find more, true friendship and love with your atheist friends and these new friends that you're going to be finding in this new chapter of your life.
Yeah. But I'm really sorry that you're going through that, because it sucks to lose a friend.
Yeah. But
and be told that by a friend.
But I will tell you from personal experience, and I don't mean to be rude, not to be rude, but atheists are much more fun to hang out with than Christians. So you're going to find some better friends, I promise.
I know, but it doesn't make it any easier.
For the moment, but it will be easier.
Especially depending on the depth of the friendship and how long they've been friends, it's a hard thing. And so my heart goes out to you, and best of luck to you and all of that. But, don't forget the power of being out, and being honest. So, all right, cool. Well, we have a couple people to thank. We have 3 new donors who I need to thank. We have one new faithful listener, William. Thank you so much, William. We have a new venerable listener, Chris. Thank you, Chris. And then we normally do not mention last names, but this one, I feel like I have to mention the last name. We have a new beatified listener, Donald Trump.
Oh.
So I suspect this might be a nom de plume.
He's a listener. No, I'm sure he's a listener.
And while it was a very generous sum that Donald is coming in at, if this is the real
wealthy.
Donald Trump, please, sir, we know you can do better. But for whoever's using the nom de plume, thank you very much. That was very, very nice of you. And then, Chris, you're going to witness something that does not happen often on the show.
Is it magic?
No.
Is it the Holy Spirit?
We have had a top donor for a very long time. She has... she's been our Lord and Savior.
Is she hiding under the table?
As we've been warning everyone, it is always possible for the top donor to be unseated by a new top donor.
Oh, was she raptured?
She's been unseated.
Oh, Angela! Angela!
So, Angela, thank you so much for all the support and for your continued support. But we are moving on to you have been dethroned. And so we now have a new top donor, our Lord and Savior, by the name of Jenny! So thank you, Jenny. You now have taken the reins.
Can Angela still be prophet, though? So if Jenny's Lord and Savior, can Angela at least be Angela? At least be prophet?
We may have to come up with a special title for Angela, because she's been dear to our heart for a very long time. We've met Angela; she's fantastic, and we also have met Jenny. We know who Jenny is.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, Jenny's awesome too. So
Jenny.
So thank you, Jenny. That's really sweet of you. And she worked a 666 into the donation. So that's also really cute as well.
Maybe that's what Alex Hidalgo is going to call the babysitting service. 666 babysitting service.
Yeah, really nice. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. And if you, too, would like to become a donor, you can do so. Go to our website, thankgodimatheist.com, and click on the support tab. That'll take you over to Patreon, where you can select any number of levels to support us at. It is greatly appreciated. It helps the show keep on ticking. Both Dan and I dedicate a lot of time to the show, and it would be lovely if we could dedicate more. And we can only do that, of course, through your support. So thank you so much. Bye-bye. Chris,
is that it for us?
It's no.
Yeah,
there's more.
Yeah,
there's
we
more.
Still
Chris,
have to do the.
We have to. We have a. I hate to be so excited about a segment on slut shaming, but this is some really fantastic slut shaming.
We have to do it.
This is like, ironically, I'm going to refer to it as PhD level slut shaming, because the woman is decidedly anti-education. And but she's good at it, and she's got it figured out.
She says godly men prefer debt-free virgins.
Oh no, Chris, we haven't said all that. So why don't you tell us what this whole thing is about? Oh yeah, I'm recording.
I thought we were like taking a break.
Dear God, no. You're going.
So I don't even know where to begin with this. It's so gross. Absolutely one of the most like I don't it's just so awful. So there's this woman in I don't know exactly where she lives. I think that she lives in Utah County.
That would make sense.
But she runs a blog called The Transformed Wife, and she talks about
what was she before?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't really give a shit about her past history.
Her story.
Her name is Lori Alexander. I actually take that back. I wish I would have looked into her background. I would like to know how old she is and a little bit about her. Just because I want to know like what has made her say these fucked up things on her blog post. So she has this blog post called The Transformed Wife,
right?
Which also I find problematic just to begin with, right?
Mm-hmm.
The transformed wife, like that her identity is that of a wife,
right?
And of being transformed because apparently what she was before wasn't good enough.
Clearly
which
not.
Is also a message that seems to be loud and clearly transmitted in Mormonism is, that of worth and self-worth.
You're not good enough.
Especially to women. And when we can even go back to the story about the woman breastfeeding, in a chapel, like it's about control, like, and they need to be subjugated and they need to know where their place is. In her case, it was, the woman's lounge in the bathroom.
Right.
But anyway, so back to this. Her name's Lori Alexander, runs this blog called The Transformed Wife. She, on July 16th, wrote a blog post that is called Men Prefer Debt. Men prefer debt-free virgins without tattoos. So once again, let me just go over that one more time. The article is entitled, Men Prefer Debt-Free Virgins Without Tattoos. It looks like on the 19th, she changed it. She changed it so it said godly men prefer debt-free virgins without tattoos.
Right.
Which, I mean, I don't know why she had to... And anyway, let me just read you some of...
because it became clear to her from all the feedback that she was getting that men don't.
Probably a lot of... Yeah, I bet a lot of men...
Generally speaking. I bet a lot of men
were like, no, I like my women with tattoos.
And experience.
She was like, well, that means that... But I'm sure she was...
Well, you're not godly.
Yes, that's what it was.
You're disgusting. Sir.
So
I thought I was speaking for all men.
right, and that she can.
Turns out I'm not.
Right. First of all, there shouldn't be a man on Earth that's speaking for all men. Second of all, there shouldn't be,
Lori Alexander.
Lori Alexander, who looks like she's 26 at the most.
She's gross.
Speaking for all mankind.
Right.
Anyway, so here's how she starts it out. Do you know how much more attractive debt-free virgins, in parentheses, without tattoos are to young men? Unfortunately, there are so few of these type of women anymore.
Oh, it's so true.
And so few of them because of the high cost of college debt.
What?
In parentheses. And sexual promiscuity. Even with those in the church. As believers in Jesus Christ, we need to live in a way that is pleasing to him because his ways are the best. He calls debt a burden and urges us to live our lives in sexual purity. First of all, I'm just not going to go into that. There are so many reasons why Christian young women should carefully consider whether or not to go to college, especially if they want to be wives and mothers someday. Secular universities teach against the God of the Bible and his ways. It teaches them, meaning women, to be independent, loud, sexually available, and immodest instead of having meek and quiet spirits.
Okay, fuck this woman. Mm-hmm. Okay, not everybody has to be your sad little version of what femininity is.
It gets worse. And then she's sharing, so apparently she has followers, right? I mean,
clearly.
I don't know what kind of idiots are following this woman.
More people like her.
But she says, one woman wrote to me and gave her opinions on why women shouldn't go to college. And so then she goes on.
Oh my God.
She says, and now she's quoting this other woman who to us is nobody.
Right.
All right. This is just some obviously uneducated woman.
How could anybody advocate against college education?
Right. And
like actively
and that she's quoting here an unnamed person, that is obviously not a scholar or
right.
Like it just
okay. Let's hear what this.
So
has to say.
So the woman she's quoting says, men don't want to marry women with debt. Most of this debt comes from college. They would also prefer a woman who still lives at her parents' house that has not had any other relationships.
Oh my God.
Do these two things and you will find you will be highly sought after. First of all, gross.
Gross.
Yeah.
What time period do they think that, are they trying to get us to return to? I mean, this is I hate to always bring up The Handmaid's
50s.
Tale.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Just this, such a limited view of what being a woman is.
Or can be.
Right. Or should be. Mm-hmm. Right. Because I think they realize that women can go out into, the workplace and,
Good point.
and be managers and directors and run companies. They know that. Right. But they don't think that that's right. Right. And they think that the scope of womanhood is best focused on just children.
But not breastfeeding them at church.
Outside of the prescribed zones with a blanket over you.
Where people are taking shits next to you.
Yeah, exactly.
You can only breast... Oh, God. Anyway, so this article continues. And once again, now Lori Alexander is quoting this unnamed woman who apparently is... an expert.
Super expert.
We don't even know who the fuck she is or what kind of training or books she's even read. Anyway, if women go to college, they are unlikely to stay home raising their children to pay off the debt and use that degree that they have spent years on. The husband will need to take years teaching his wife the correct way to act, think, and live, since college taught them every possible way that is wrong.
What is wrong with this person?
I know. So
the husband teaches the wife
the correct way. They will start having babies later in life. That is if they still can conceive naturally. And I don't know what the hell that's supposed to mean.
That's a snide little.
It's a dog whistle.
Lady.
It's almost
totally.
It's almost like either referring to I don't know,
mothers are
younger
the best mothers.
Yeah, it's just
You know?
gross. Or because we
Right.
know that anybody who gets the more college education anybody gets, the higher their socioeconomic standing goes.
Absolutely.
That's true.
Yes.
I mean, we have statistics on this. This isn't just like so that applies for men and women.
Right.
Okay. I mean, granted, not women still are making less than men. I mean, that's also facts, but
women need to have the option to go out into the workplace, and by discouraging your children, your female children's education, right? You are actually taking options away from them. And lest we also forget that, like, or lest Lori dipshit forgets, right? Husbands die. Husbands divorce. Husbands go away, right? Like, you better have yourself figured out.
yeah, that's a good point, Frank. I mean, like,
Are you just going to rely on the generosity of others your entire life?
Blanche.
Right.
And she goes on. If you want to hear more, I mean,
Oh, sure. Bring it on.
she's saying that still saying that if women go to college, then they will have lost a handful of years of experience learning how to cook large meals and learning how to work in the garden. College kids don't cook. If they do, it's typically only for themselves.
Lori, you're exposing your own lack of education.
So
here.
the list goes on. Churches don't talk about it. They support the college kids and the working mothers.
I think a college-educated person, anyway, should be able to figure out how to cook a meal.
It's insane. Young women, be wise with the path you choose to walk. Now, this is back to Lori speaking. She's not quoting the lady anymore. Young women, be wise with the path you choose to walk. Keep a long-term vision of your life and how you hope it will be someday. Instead of acting upon all the what-ifs that many will throw at you, trust God with your life, study the Word, and take the narrow path that leads to life. Stay virgins until marriage, out of debt, and don't get tattoos! !
Well, I want to know, quite frankly, is where does she get off even thinking that she has a voice? She's a woman. According to her own worldview.
Good point.
Her points don't really matter.
Right?
She
needs to be taken
care of. Here's
care
another
of.
one. I bet she makes money off that blog. I bet she makes a really good living off that blog. So she's got herself a little job. She's got herself a little business that she's got up and running.
That the Bible says don't pray in public. Don't share your prayers among men.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It kind of seems like that too.
It feels like she's got her own little online Rammy-umptum.
Rammy-umptum.
A Book of Mormon reference.
Yeah, if you don't have a Mormon background, you're not even going to get that. In fact, a lot of people with a Mormon background are still going to be like,
What's he talking about?
Rammy-umptum?
No, the great structure upon which you would go and pray publicly.
It was Alma, right?
Yeah, I think so.
In the Book of Alma.
And so, like, it was built so that you could go and show your
how great
piety and how great you spoke to the Lord and everything. And it was a means of this is the Book of Mormon speaks a lot about pride. Doesn't like pride.
Which is so funny because Mormons are like
so prideful.
The most prideful people I know.
Yeah.
Like it's always about appearance. It's about possessions. It's about appearance. It just comes back to appearance for me and from my experience.
Absolutely.
In Mormonism and with Mormons.
Yeah. Well, clearly. Yeah. All right, Chris.
We wrapping this shit up?
I think we should. If you out there would have anything that you would like to add to this conversation, or anything that you would like to bring up about something that we've had to say, please feel free to email us. podcast@thankgodimatheist.com is the email address. You can also leave us a voicemail message. 424-666-8442 is the way to do that. You can also Go on to facebook.com/TGIAtheist to find our part of our online presence. Also on Facebook is the TGIA Members Only Lounge. It's a closed group. You have to request to join. It's moderated, and that's what makes it so great. That's what keeps it civil. Also, you can find us on Reddit. That's reddit.com/r/TGIAtheist. And you'll find show notes there and some further discussion and all of that. So we invite you to come over to there. Thank you, Chris, for sitting in.
Thanks for letting me be here.
Yeah, it's always great. It's such a delight to have these conversations with you. And then we also need to thank the Red Rock Hot Club for the use of their music, and Gordon Johnston for the use of his music. And thank you, everyone, for continuing to tune in. Thank you to our donors on
Jenny
Patreon.
and Angela.
Jenny and Angela, thank you so much. Have a good one. Bye.
Yeah, have a good week, everybody.
Bye-bye.